Alright guys, really quick before this video gets started, just wanted to give you an update on the merch. My wife behind the camera and I have been very hard at work setting up the merch room, which is just a spare room above the garage. We just got a huge shipment of shirts, so if you guys ordered your shirts, first of all, thank you for your patience. Second of all, this isn't even all of it because a lot of it is already out the door on its way to you guys. If you haven't seen a tracking number yet, you should be seeing it very soon. Also, tanks are on their way. Those will be up on the website soon. So these came in with the next shipment. Super excited about these. And more importantly, 3XL and 4XL in everything. So for you bigger fellas, got you covered. So thank you guys for your patience. If you haven't already got your shirt, check out sullivan-co.com. Get you some swag. So close. We are so close to hearing this thing fire up. Kind of left you guys hanging in the last video, and I'm sorry about that, but hey, it's a brand new video, and I hope this one's gonna be a good one. In the last video, we got everything done that needed to be done to make my Terminator swapped 2004 Marauder make noise for the first time in 7 years. Woo! I rewired things, I relocated things, we got a belt on here, we got the cooling system finished up, we got the entire electrical system and battery finished up, relocated, coolant crossover, sensors repaired, power steering lines, you name it, you guys saw the video. Now, we just got two things left to do, two main things. One, this thing needs coolant. It's already got 6.5 quarts of BR20, I think it is, break-in oil in it. Brand new Mobil 1 filter and my oil filter relocation. All we need now is coolant, a little bit of power steering fluid, I think, and maybe a smidge of transmission fluid because we might have lost a little. So I got that stuff here. Main thing again is coolant, which we just talked about. And also right now this car has open headers. And we don't want, if we pretend that this right here is the end of the collector of the header, and this is where the O2 sensor would go, we don't want the O2 sensor to be gathering open air from the end of the collector. So I'm actually gonna take these, which came with the Stainless Works headers, and they're gonna bolt on this way. And that'll give us 12 or 14 inches or whatever this is of extra pipe to make sure that we're not scavenging open air and throwing off our O2 sensor readings here in the car. I got the stock O2 sensors, which are basically just extra parts at this point to plug up these, which would be post-cat O2 sensor locations. Gonna vacuum refill this thing using my Amazon coolant refiller thing. Link will be in the description for that, so hopefully we can put that on right here and hopefully avoid all of the cooling system burping and air pocket issues that are associated with not only the Cobras, except for that, but any car that you swap the Cobra motor into. So I'm excited. Let's get to work, knock these couple things out, and hopefully hear this thing fire up. Good morning. It is D-Day. Finally, I'm finally ready to start this thing. Or attempt to start it. We'll see what happens. Anybody's guess right now. Wanted to do it last night, but ran out of time by the time I finished editing the last video. Wanted to get that out to you guys, but now we are ready. vacuum filled the cooling system as best I could. I don't know if I pulled enough vacuum. It ran out of vacuum before it was full, so hopefully we don't have any air pockets, but I'm not holding my breath with these 4-valve motors, which are kind of a pain. But topped it off to just below the full mark here. We'll see what it does once it warms up. If we get that far, topped off the power steering, double checked everything up here. I think we're good. And of course, bolted my exhaust pipe onto the long tubes there, just so we can hopefully get a better O2 sensor reading. Whew! It's pre-start jitters. Going. Too bad it's too early for a beer right now. Maybe not, I don't know. Anyways, let's hook up HP tuners, give everything one last final look over, and see if the old Marauder here will roar to life. Woo! Positive vibes. Here we go. Do or die. My heart is pounding. Done this so many times, still get nervous every time. All right, here we go. Little pressure. Woo! There's oil pressure. Is not charging. So we gotta look at one of these wires. Motor sounds awesome though. Woo! Hell yeah. Take care of that, maybe figure out the alternator wiring, but top up the coolant a little bit. It's alive! Woo! Whew! Well, another first start completed on the channel. So far, knock on wood, this one went a little bit better than the Cobra. We didn't have a follower or a cam lash adjuster or whatever fall off. That's not good. So far, alternator's not charging, and we have a small oil leak from my eBay oil filter relocation line. Who could have seen that coming? So let me, before this thing gets way too hot, let me see if I can tighten that line up, top off the coolant, double check everything else, and we'll fire it up again. All right, we're back. I tightened up the oil filter adapter fitting or oil filter relocation fitting. It was a little bit loose, so hopefully that solves that leak. Also, I've looked into the wiring on the alternator a little bit more, and I think that this wire needs a 12-volt switched signal to basically signal the alternator to charge. And neither of these two wires have it. I think that one of these is actually the one that I need to feed back into the system that's going to turn off the battery light. But we We might have to play around with it a little bit. I got my test light out here. And right now I'm just gonna run the wire and a resistor, because apparently according to the wiring diagram, it's supposed to be, you know, I think about half battery voltage. I'm just gonna touch it to here, and then we'll hook up my multimeter and see if the car is charging or the alternator is charging. Also topped up the coolant. I think we're good on power steering fluid for now. Let's fire it up again, see how far we get this time. All right, take 2, here we go. System or something. Little foamy. Let's check on the oil leak. All right, I think we fixed our oil leak. I don't see anything, and it would, last time it was leaking by, you know, almost immediately. So that's good. So maybe we'll saw the wheel back and forth a few times, see if we can bleed this power steering system. It was weird. It got caught on like a resonance and started losing its mind. But I don't know, there's probably a whole bunch of air in the system. All right, straighten this out. Ran this back and forth a few times. Oh God, you guys going down. You guys okay? All right, good. Take 3. Pressure. All right, we are not charging. If I hook this guy up, now we are. There we go. Okay. Battery light is still on, but I think that's because we need to feed another wire to one of these 2 guys. Well, we'll get to that later. Now we know that we're charging, so that's good. Woo! Sounds good. Burning off a whole bunch of stuff from manufacturing and from the assembly process here, so that's totally normal. So you guys know the deal. Let's let this thing warm up, watch for leaks, make sure that we don't overheat it. We got HP tuners in the car, so we can keep an eye on coolant temp, which is 124 and coming up. Yeah, just watch the vitals and we'll go from there. A little smoky, but brand new motor, brand new headers. Nothing I'm too terribly concerned about. Doug. Everything else looking good so far. I don't see any other leaks. Temps coming up. Thermostat's getting hot. Should be opening soon. Does sound really, really good. Whisper quiet. All right, fan just kicked on. We just went from 192 to 190. Topped off the transmission fluid. Sealed up the rad, or the overflow, so it can make pressure. I think we have a small coolant leak from one of the little hoses up there. Double check the clamp. Stop smoking, so that's always a good sign. Things are looking good. Not too terribly loud for basically open headers. Remember when I had this thing fired up the first time on open headers, it was unbearable. You needed hearing protection. Where are we leaking from? Looks like it's up here. Is this thing cracked or something? Dorman quality? Holding at 190. This is going well, boys. It's nice to have a first startup go well for once. Alright, I think that's a pretty good first heat cycle. Let's shut it down, let it cool, double check all the fluids, see if we can figure out what this thing is doing, but she's staying cool, fan came on, motor sounds beautiful. I'm very happy with that. Yep, holding 190, no problem. Fan powering down. Woo! It is afternoon. Time to crack a beer. We deserve it. Cheers, boys. Thanks for riding this one out with me. we are back on the Marauder. Took a day or so break, but the first startup could not have gone better. This thing is killing it right now. Sounds awesome. It's got awesome oil pressure. Makes all the right noises. I don't see any severe smoking or anything, knock on wood. I think we're gonna be good. Just a couple little things to button up. I put a new hose on this thing. I'm hoping it was just the clamp or the hose or something. I'm hoping my new reservoir here isn't cracked. We still have some alternator wiring to do, but right now I've kind of shifted gears to the intercooler system. Got some parts here on the bench that I've had since, I don't know, months ago. I've had these parts forever. So I've been collecting parts for this build for a long time, and it's finally time to work on the intercooler system. So this should be most of the main components, a fairly simple setup. So this, you guys might recognize this is the exact same intercooler, or a heat exchanger, I should say, that I ran as an upgrade on the Sonic Blue 2003 Cobra. This thing is $100 on eBay. Forget the exact dimensions, but I think it's 24 by like 3 by 8 or something like that. But fairly large intercooler core, and I saw excellent IATs with this on the Cobra. Looks great, so I'm gonna run that again. This is a genuine Bosch intercooler pump. I think it's an upgraded version of the Cobra one. It's like the GT500 one. There's the part number if anyone needs it. This is the OEM 03 Cobra supercharger intercooler tank. I don't know, can't go wrong with that. Cheap, effective. This is a relay that I've had kicking around, I think from the 69 Camaro project. If you notice, the connector on the intercooler pump looks a lot like an EV1 injector pump, or injector connector. So I have this EV1 to EV6 adapter here that I found in my toolbox, and I'm just gonna use that and cut the pigtail off or see what I can find for the other end. Got some elbows, and then I've got like 10 feet of 3/4 inch heater hose, and that should be everything that we need to plumb up and wire up a heat exchanger for this thing. So over here I've got the crash bar, egg carton, you know, otherworldly planet bacteria thing on the front here. And the reason I did that is because I'm gonna figure out where I wanna mount this intercooler. A lot of guys will mount them in here in the grill. As a matter of fact, I think that's where the previous owner had the one for the Vortec installed, but the heat exchanger that I got is quite large, so I don't think it's gonna fit. And I think it belongs, the heat exchanger belongs kind of down here on the lower part of the front bumper, not necessarily in the grill. So I think I'm gonna mount mine low, but I've got to get the bumper on there, see what's gonna fit, see what's gonna work, and we'll go from there. Also wanted to show you guys the newest tool for the channel. Of course, is from Vevor. It's a digital ultrasonic cleaner. If you guys have been on this channel for any amount of time, you know that I have spent way too much time in the rain, freezing rain, snow, you name it, scrubbing dirty engine parts and getting them ready for paint or getting them ready to put back on cars or engines. And a million of you have commented and said, get an ultrasonic cleaner. Finally got one from Vevor and just had to try something on it. I didn't have something that desperately needed clean, but this is very relevant. If you guys remember when I first started this project, I opted to use the 03 Cobra dipstick, oil dipstick, because it was in much better shape than the Marauder one, or so it seemed. Problem is, and as I just found out with the first start, I put 6.5 quarts in and the oil was just coming up to the bottom of the full line, which didn't seem right to me. So I grabbed the original Marauder dipstick and dipstick tube. You line them up here and you can see that now the bottom of the Cobra one is actually completely full on the Marauder one. So I now know I need to run the Marauder dipstick and tube because that's gonna give us our correct oil reading. And I was able to clean up the dingy, dirty dipstick handle, which is the only part you really see, and I wanted a nice, crisp, clear yellow. And I put this thing in the ultrasonic cleaner for like 15 minutes at like 75 degrees Celsius, and then just a quick wipe down with a rag, and this thing looks brand new. Cleaned out the rest of the tube that wouldn't fit in there, and I think this thing is ready to snake down between those long tube headers. I'm gonna use this thing all the time. You guys know that I'm always cleaning engine parts, cleaning stuff. This is great for carburetors, jewelry, you know, all sorts of stuff outside of the garage, so I'm happy to have it. Link will be in the description for that. Shout out to Vevor for sending it for me. Let's get down to some intercooler stuff. right, well, as is tradition with this project, somehow it looks worse, but I've made a bunch of progress. Basically got the whole intercooler system here mocked up, starting down here with our eBay/CX Racing heat exchanger. Once again, the scrap pile came in clutch, found 2 pieces of angle iron that I actually think are from a homemade lawn striper that I made for my old lawnmower. Basically just made these into a 7-inch section, marked where I needed to mount the bolts and where this was going to be basically just above the level of the lower part of the rear bumper. Couple cuts, couple grinds, a little bit of rattle can Rust-Oleum restoration, and boom, we've got ourselves some sock Rowlett heat exchanger mounts. This thing actually doesn't even wiggle. It's in there. So this thing is good to go. Then I moved up here, started to plan out where I wanted to put the intercooler reservoir. This is where the Trilogy kit puts it. This is where most guys that do the eat and swap put it. It's a good spot for it, and as far as I know, because everyone else puts it here, it should clear the hood. This is just finger tight here, and this thing is solid as well. Also got the fuse box all split open to start doing some wiring here. As far as the wiring goes, we basically are running to this orange and brown wire, which is going to be constant battery. And then the pink and white wire is going to be our switch source. And then we move down here to the intercooler pump, which I of course use my riv nut tool and mounted. Inlet is over here, outlet is over here. Once again, the scrap radiator line pile came through and found this perfectly bent hose, which brings us into the inlet, goes for the heat exchanger. Another scrap hose, 90, and then all the way back, and that goes up to the factory intercooler, which is under the blower. Grabbed a couple of 3/4 inch barbs from Lowe's, and that completes our intercooler loop. So all that's left to do is a little bit of wiring, put all this back together, and then we'll see what else is next on the list. I think I'm gonna put a drive shaft in this thing, and then maybe we'll fire it up again and see if we solve the coolant leak. Maybe even see if this thing moves, so let's keep the progress going. Of course, the old expedition/random wiring harness came in clutch again. Stole a bunch of wires from this too. Saving money all around. All right, quick test. Nothing on fire over there. Don't hear the pump. Hear Kanye though. Every time. Let's see what I did wrong. Have power at the pump. Just put a ground right here. Why is my pump not on? There's no way I got a bad Bosch pump out of the box. Is there? Probably something I did. Let's double check this ground or something. Alright, well, it works with the old Milwaukee battery test. So do I have a bad ground? Yep. Confirmed. Bad ground. We are running now. It's grounded up on the header panel there. Now let's clean all this up. there you have it. One from scratch intercooler system done. Matter of fact, it's been a while since we've touched the actual whiteboard. Can almost cross that off. Might have to redo this whiteboard here soon. But yes, tell me this doesn't look almost factory. Tell me it doesn't look factory. Like that didn't come like that, fits there perfectly. Line comes down here, goes right up into the original 03 Cobra Eaton line. Actually cleaned up this little thing there. The only thing I don't like up here is the hose clamps. I might see if I can get some more of these black, you know, OEM style clamps. Wiring, again, everything's loomed. You guys know me, everything's loomed, everything's clean. The only thing that if you were looking for it is this relay here. But again, you know, that could be factory. Use the factory ground right there. All the wiring down here. This is all factory wiring. Where's my wiring? Oh, this is my wiring right here. Loomed, ground goes up there. Factory style EV1 connector. Super clean. And then while I was in this area, and now we know that it works properly, finished looming the mass airflow sensor all the way over there. We're getting there. So intercooler system, check. No leaks. That is done. That was a big project. If you want to do it right, make sure the lines are routed clean. Takes that extra time, but if you ask me, it's worth it. All right, up next, I don't know. Let me wrap up a couple things so we can start this thing and maybe pull this thing out and see it in the daylight for the first time in, I don't know, when did I push this thing in? May? And for the first time under its own power in a long time. We got to do Driveshaft. We got to button up a couple other things. Got to figure out the rest of this alternator wiring to see if I can feed it back into the battery light. Just a bunch of random stuff. Let's get to it. Also, look at that. Finally, the right dipstick and... All right, well, the camera's going to have a hard time focusing, but oil level right where it's supposed to be. Job done. Whoops. All right, back on the ground for the first time in a long time. But turns out the added weight of the engine, and I'm gonna have to jack up the front to get it off the lift, but got the drive shaft in there, cleaned that thing up, couldn't help but hit it with a little bit of steel wool quad zero. This thing was basically sunk down when I got it, and I thought flipping that switch in the trunk would adjust the air suspension, but maybe it adjusted when I wasn't watching, because it looks like it's up now. I don't know, looks good. So I think we're good to fire this thing back up, see if I've fixed my coolant leak here, test the intercooler system, even though it's basically already tested, let it get back up to temperature. I hooked up the shift linkage under there, shift this thing in reverse and see if it will back out of the garage under its own power, see if we have any other leaks, and just keep going through it. But man, does this thing look good. She's getting there. All right, let's fire it up. Oh. What issue did I just create? No start. What did we change? Can't have anything to do with the intercooler setup, could it? Did I pull a relay and not put it back or something? All right, back in a minute. Okay, we're under the car, and after 30 minutes of messing with fuses and checking relays and test lights, I decided to think about what I changed, and I obviously hooked up the shift linkage here. And I think that this is park, and it didn't seem to want to start there, so I popped it over. You see that line right there that lines up with the one on this yellow ring here. Now we're in neutral. Popped it over there, and it started. So I don't know. I think I'm going to go up in the car, or it cranked over, I should say. I haven't started it again. But I think I'm going to go up in the car, put the shifter in neutral, then put this thing on, and that will hopefully align this thing. After a little while, it was clear that this was a neutral safety switch issue, so I started messing with stuff down here, and here we are. So let's put it back together. Take two. All right, good morning. Last night, the baby was going to sleep. Didn't want to wake him up. And I wanted to spend some time getting your merch orders out the door. So your Brotella tees, your logo tees, your clutch shirts, your While You're In There cafe shirts. We spent a bunch of time getting those out the door. So keep an eye on those tracking numbers or those emails. You guys should be seeing them soon. Anyways, I think we figured out why this thing wouldn't crank. It was basically the car thought it was not in neutral. I think we got that sorted out right now. So let's fire this thing up. Wiring level 1000, but feeding charging battery voltage back into these two wires. Battery light is off, and we are charging. Napping. Probably shouldn't be too loud. Let's see if this thing has a transmission. Actually, let's check the level first. Very low. Check for gears. Nice and hot now. Don't see any leak there anymore. I've got the heat on full blast over here. It is hot. No leaks. Woo! Alright, let's pull this thing out. First time since 2017 or 2018, whatever the previous owner said, this thing will hopefully move under its own power. Let's see. Last time we saw this thing, we were pushing it in the driveway or pushing it in the garage. What do you think? Will you be seeing in it?
Didn't even wake him up.
Didn't even wake him up. Woo! The boat is out. Check engine light is on, but no diagnostic trouble codes. Maybe I'll just clear it? Sure, why not? She's running good though. Running really good. Does not smoke at all, which is great news. Well, if the baby wasn't awake before, he's definitely awake now. So if you guys are looking for some shades for the rest of this summer, this fall, any season, check out heatwavevisual.com. I love all of their shades, especially these ones, the Ultimate Bro shades. Use code Chris10 for 10% off. And what a project, you guys. The AC pump kicks on and then kicks back off, which tells me it's probably low on charge, which would make sense because this thing's been sitting for 8 years, but could potentially be an easy fix. But everything else, I mean, the heat blasts, the CD player works, we got Kanye in there, the motor runs absolutely perfect, we're charging, even got the battery light to come off with some redneck ingenuity there. Intercooler system works, we got no leaks right now that I can see. I'm happy. Couple of supercharged 4.6, 5.4 Ford vehicles here. One 4-door boat, one 2-door coupe. That is gonna do it for this one, you guys. This thing runs for the first time. It drives or pulls out of the garage for the first time. We got a little bit more work to do before we can comfortably drive this thing, and still a ton more work to do on the project in general. I've got a dyno appointment in less than 2 weeks on this thing. We still have to build a full exhaust. We have to clean up a ton of wiring. I've got a bunch of gauges we need to install. Probably should put the hood and bumper back on. We should drive this thing, make sure that it drives well. God knows what the brakes and tires and everything else are doing. There's still a lot of work to do on this project, but I'm enjoying every minute of it. I hope you guys are too. I'm gonna finish up this video, finish editing it, get it right out to you guys, and then get right back to work on this thing. Thank you guys, as always, for watching. Thanks for your support on the merch and everything else. Thanks for your patience if you're waiting for your shirt. If you enjoyed the video and the series, give it a thumbs up. Catch you guys in the next one.